Croeso I chi gyd. Diolch i'ch gwbl chi am dod heddiw. Thank you everybody for coming today to join this protest, a show of force to try and get the message across to our politicians that they need to listen to us, the people of rural Wales. And just to say that we have issued invitations to all parties today to come and speak and come and address us, because this is a non-political rally. We've said to everybody that they're free to come and address us, but strangely, only some of those political parties want to be seen standing up for the people of rural Wales. So make of it what you will. Rydym ni wedi anfon gwahoddiad I bob gwlad, ond mae'n drwg i ni dweud nad rhai pleidiau eisiau sefyll gyda ni heddiw. Yn amser Gwyndor Evans, nid oedd ein gwleidyddion wedi buddsoddi yn hymylol a oedd eisiau boddi cymuned Cymru. Y tro hwn, mae rhaid i ni achub ein cymunedau heb rhai o ein gwleidyddion. Nid yw cefnglad Cymru ar werth. Ni ddyled ei aberthu ar allol net zero. So we're going to hear now from a range of speakers, and it's my great pleasure to hand over to a person who's played a key role in delivering this rally here today, James Evans. James.
We're here today because the people of Mid Wales and from right the way across Wales will not be taken for granted anymore. We will not be taken granted by Bute Energy and Green Gen Cymru, people who want to rip the heart out of Mid Wales, to destroy our landscape, to destroy our tourism sector, and to destroy our way of life. That is not happening. I have been blown away by all the people, I'm sure a lot of you here, who've responded to the consultation that's currently out by PEDU. For those of you who haven't responded, you need to get those in as soon as you can. Because the one way in which we can tell the Welsh Government that we do not want these pylons, we do not want these turbines in Mid Wales, is to respond in our thousands. And to do that, you must go home, tell your friends, tell your family, tell the people you go for a bike with down the pub if that's who you like going, or whatever hobbies you do, tell them to respond, because it is going to affect them in some way or another. You're going to hear from a lot of speakers today, but I want to lay it out for you. You cannot have the pylons and you cannot have the turbines, they come together. So somebody will tell you, we're all for undergrounding the pylons, but we're not against the turbines. You've got to cut the head off the snake, and that starts with the turbines. So I say to anybody speaking after me, do not treat any of you for fools. We all know what this means. Stop the turbines, you stop the pylons. And that's why we've all got to come together to say to the Welsh Government loud and clearly, rural Wales has had enough. We've been ignored for too long. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And I was down to speak for 10 minutes, and you're not going to have that from me because people get fed up of politicians talking at them all the time. So what we need to do, we all need to listen in here. So I want you to shout loud and clear, no Bute Energy, no pylons, no Green Gen Cymru, and no turbines. Shout it loud and clear so they can hear you in this building. Let's have it. Come on, shout out for them.
No turbines!
And you all make sure that every party here says what I say. That we need up-to-date evidence, we need up-to-date information. Planning decisions cannot be made on outdated evidence. And all these applications need to be stopped until we have that updated evidence put forward. I will be putting that forward to my party, that we need a complete moratorium on these things right the way across Wales until we have that information available. So once again, thank you everybody for coming down today. You're amazing. I love you all. So diolch yn fawr iawn everyone, and let's show them Mid Wales has had enough.
Diolch yn fawr, James. Diolch yn fawr.
Hello. I don't know how I'm ever going to beat that, but I'll do my best. And I'll try not to go over 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. We've done all the thank yous. And all I was going to say was, at least it's not snowing, so at least I can say that. It's great to see so many of you. It just really shows what the strength of feeling is in Wales for what's happening, or what hopefully isn't going to happen. I particularly want to say thank you to those of you who couldn't come today. There are quite a lot of them who, for various reasons, but they've sent their solidarity and support. I've got a question. Why are we here? Why are we here? I say we're here because of greedy property developers from outside Wales with an eye for the main chance. These carpetbaggers want to build some of the largest onshore wind turbines ever seen in the UK across our rural areas in Mid Wales and beyond. Many will be taller than the BT Tower, up to 220 metres high. Have a look around you. Do you see anything 220 metres high? I'm not sure that I do. This will be overwhelming local residents and seen from miles around. And of course, with them come the power lines, pylons, substations, switching stations, new roads, and massive disruption to local communities and rural businesses. And while we're offered so-called community benefits, or as many call them, bribes, Bute Energy and others will walk away from Wales with many millions of pounds more in their pockets. Is this fair?
No!
Is this just?
No!
This is industrialisation. These rural areas will never be the same again for local people, local businesses and the tourists who come for the peace and beauty that our landscape offers. Who cares? Not our First Minister. She says we must do our bit and basically suck it up. So are we going to do our bit? Or do we say enough is enough?
Enough is enough!
What do we say?
Enough
must address climate change and reduce carbon emissions. But do we need to industrialise rural Wales with massive onshore wind turbines that only work when the wind blows, but doesn't blow too hard? Well, no, we don't. Love it or loathe it, the government's own figures show that wind energies already planned offshore will allow Wales to reach its net zero targets and retain its status as a net exporter of electricity. These monstrously high onshore wind farms are simply not required. And unless or until we have a viable system of long-term energy storage, you know, all those big cabinets that cover acres and acres and acres, a grid over-dominated by wind and solar will not get us safely and securely to net zero. We say keep onshore wind and solar projects much smaller and build them nearer to communities that will use them. Let local people enjoy the benefits. Let local people enjoy the benefits and without the huge cost to our lives and livelihoods that these developments would bring. So what is the cost to us? Are we just NIMBYs who don't want their views spoiled? No! Are we NIMBYs? No! Many of these turbines would be the tallest in England and Wales. Huge vertical structures dominating our landscape. In other words, we will be guinea pigs. Guinea pigs for their overbearing height. Guinea pigs for their shadow flicker. Guinea pigs for their noise and vibration. Guinea pigs for the effect on private water supplies of 2,000 tonnes of concrete in every turbine base. 2,000 tonnes of concrete in every turbine base. Guinea pigs for their impact on tourism and agriculture. In short, guinea pigs, all of us, in terms of our lives, businesses and well-being. Make no mistake, this is being done to us, not for us in any way whatsoever. And indirectly, it's being done to our future generations as well. Is it time for us to say, enough is enough? Yes. What is it? Enough is enough! But there's a problem. Wales wants to be a world leader in renewable energy. Never mind that the UK produces less than 1% of global emissions and that Wales a fraction of that, according to Ed Miliband. And it seems our own First Minister. We must build them high and we must build them fast. Wales, the power station of England, and probably beyond as well. Of course, Welsh communities being trampled over for the benefit of others is nothing new. Think of Cwmtrerin supplying water to Liverpool. Think of the Elan Valley and supplying water to Birmingham. Now think of rural Wales doing its bit to provide energy to England. Yes, of course we want to help, but not when we are being asked to pay such a very high and unfair price. I want to end by quoting the words of renowned historian and author Dr. Wynne Thomas. Is he here? Do you mind if I quote you? Thank you so much. Who has for many years studied and written about these Welsh sacrifices. Do you want to come up and say it for yourself?
Yes. Come on.
Which is on a scale that makes the flooding of Cwmtrerin look trivial. It utterly eclipses Tryweryn in both its scope and its scale. I truly believe that no good for Wales will come from this. If it is ratified, this proposal will change Wales forever in a very negative way. And I shall say this again because it comes to mind so often when I'm doing Q&As and so on. Wales does not exist for the benefit of England. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you. Thank you very much indeed. Now I've got one more thing that I need to do, Our charter, I think and I hope you all know about our charter now. It was signed by groups across Wales calling for a just transition to net zero. The charter lays out our expectations that all communities facing large-scale renewable development in Wales will be treated with respect by both Welsh and UK governments. And we seek engagement with all political parties on this crucial matter as they prepare their manifestos for the May Senedd elections. As it happens, the Senedd Climate Change, Environment and Infrastructure Committee has been meeting here today, this morning, and believe it or not, the Charter is on the agenda. In recognition of this, we're going to present a ceremonial copy of it to the Senedd, in the hope that all future decision makers will proceed in a just and fair way when applications for these large-scale developments come before them. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much indeed.
Even do better than that. Let's have a big round of applause for Jenny. Yay!
But I'm also speaking on behalf of all of the other people of the Cambrian Mountains, human or otherwise. Because it's far too easy for the developers and anyone who just wants us locals to keep our heads down to throw that label of NIMBY at us and pretend that that proves all the reasons we give for objecting to these developments must be invalid. So today I'm going to speak as a voice for nature, since it's nature's reaction to what we've been doing in the past and continue to do today that is said to justify taking yet more of Wales' green countryside and industrialising it to build these power stations. What we need to realise is this is not just about delivering all the energy that humans want to consume. It's about keeping our own habitat that we live in healthy at the same time. It's very easy to focus just on how much energy do we want. And it doesn't matter whose forecast you take or how far in the future you talk about, the answer is always going to be, we want more. We want more of everything for every single one of us, all of the time. And when we get to the end of that, we'll still be wanting more again. And politicians, of course, try to focus on giving today's voters what they say they want, which means spinning them the fairy tale that we can carry on having more, getting bigger and better. But everyone understands there is ultimately a price to pay for that. And at present, they're focused on coping with the price that the changing climate is imposing on us, and not just on us humans, but on our habitat, the land we live in, and all the birds, animals, insects and plants that keep that land healthy and habitable for us. But the climate is getting more challenging, not just for us. Those animals and plants are already at bay. Most of land area in Wales is dedicated to human uses, and increasingly it's being fragmented through human activities. Now, standing here in the completely concrete surroundings of the Senedd, it's not surprising that the people in there aren't noticing species going extinct across Wales faster and faster with every passing year. Their own natural habitat is concrete. Why does that matter? It means they can be here and assume that the rest of Wales is just okay, and fool themselves that producing optimistic statements, as they are fond of doing, about nature recovery, makes nature recover, even while we take a bit more and then another bit more of Wales's green heartlands to build concrete and roads and pylons. Now, I really wish that could be true. It just isn't. Once we've industrialised our natural environment to the point where the ecological networks break down and can't sustain us any longer, then we will be entirely at the mercy of increasingly extreme weather and with no way back. And this sounds alarmist to many people, so it's natural for them to react by saying, who are you to tell us that we can't do exactly what we think we want? The government are behind it, so it must be all right. You're just a NIMBY. But it's not just me who's trying to tell you where we're going wrong for Wales. We're only 6 weeks into 2026 and already there have been 2 major reports issued for the government, both of which urge that government to stop and think about this dash for renewable energy, backed by a raft of real experts. I'm just the messenger here. If you want chapter and verse, have a look at the long-awaited report from the Independent Advisory Group on Future Energy Grid for Wales. Recommendation 4 says the government should commission studies comparing the cost and technical characteristics for transmission and distribution infrastructure, including, something they're not yet doing, consideration of how smaller scale projects can interact with the system effectively. And what about non-network build options as a viable alternative? In other words, local renewable projects either aiming for complete self-sufficiency off-grid or with the option of feeding into and occasionally drawing from the grid as well. And I'd like to say, just for clarity, the Cambrian Mountain Society's policy is in support of small-scale, locally owned, locally used energy generation projects. That's the way it should go. The grid that they're currently planning to build doesn't allow that to happen at all. They're simply looking at feeding energy into the grid here in Wales to export it for use elsewhere, either in Wales or England or Ireland or even France. So they're ruling that out, and the experts say they shouldn't. Same report, recommendation 6, suggests what you would have thought was obvious, that Welsh Government should come up with a structured framework and guidance for reviewing key aspects of infrastructure planning and consenting, including, how about this for a brilliant idea, taking into account the lifetime costs and the environmental, landscape, social, cultural and economic impacts, as well as the benefits. Quite brilliant. I mean, I wish I'd thought of it myself, but there you go, these people are experts. So it's really scary, isn't it, that they have to call in experts to tell them something so obvious as find out what this is really going to mean before you just go ahead and do it. And speaking of evidence, recommendation 7, same report. They ask Welsh Government to identify and then address the many gaps in the evidence that they're using supposedly to assess what this grid infrastructure is going to do. In other words, find out what are the bad things that are going to happen before you do it. And their priority for these areas of evidence that need to be looked into before the decision is taken include what's it going to do for nature recovery? What are the threats to the birds? What are the cumulative impacts on the visual and character aspects of our landscapes? What is it going to do to the soils and the soil habitats, including the heat generated by undergrounding the cables and the impact of building massive access tracks over peat? What about the carbon footprint for each of these technologies? And what about the economic impacts on things like the tourist industry, which, you being from Mid Wales, you will understand is as important as agriculture in keeping the economy of Mid Wales afloat. And finally, what about the cultural impacts? This is devastating our communities. This is having really negative effects on the people of Mid Wales and their long-time future, and this from a government that's meant to be committed to the welfare of future generations. So in short, that very expert group, whose report was delayed by 7 months before it came out, is telling Welsh Government, go and do your homework on all of the issues properly before giving the green light to any of these proposals for massive Wales-wide development. This is a direct quote from that report, which I absolutely love. Compensation should not be a substitute for a well-designed and considered scheme. You can't just buy your way out of doing a real top-up and pay people off afterwards. Straight after that report, and I'm not going to spend so long on this one, but straight after that report came out, Natural Resources Wales released a report. Now, Natural Resources Wales are not really the kind of organisation that I call a NIMBY. They launched their State of Natural Resources report for 2025, and it's got all of the alarm bells ringing. The first thing they say, which is really depressing because it's a very thick document, is we just don't have enough evidence. We don't know really in detail what's going on with Wales's habitats and Wales's natural species. But it is quite clear that Wales's natural environment remains as a critical tipping point. Nature is under sustained and intensifying pressure, with ecosystems struggling to cope with the combined impacts of climate change, pollution, habitat loss, and unsustainable land use. And I'd just like to point out, the rebuttal we always get is, oh, we've got to do this because we've got to stop climate change. Well, nature, it's not just climate change. We are polluting the countryside, for instance, with all this concrete. We are taking habitat away from nature, and that's, again, all these big industrial developments. And it is in itself an unsustainable land use. So just go ahead and do it because of climate change is nowhere near a sufficient answer. And if you did want a few numbers from the report, and I really am coming to the end, honest, a few numbers: 1 in 5 species in Wales is facing extinction. 20% of all of our animals, birds, plants, insects, soil dwellers, the worms, 20% facing extinction. That's appalling. 40% of Welsh water bodies achieve a good water quality status. That means 60%, well over half of our water bodies are not good water quality. And this is meant to be the great green land of Wales. And finally, ecosystem resilience is low across much of the country. This really is a nature emergency happening right now and right here, all around us, where we could and should do something about it. There's no point wringing our hands about people chopping down the Amazon rainforest, appalling though that is, if we at the same time are working just as hard as them to trash our environment that we actually have in our custody. Hughie Ranker-Davies, the Deputy First Minister, talked about, we're going to strengthen nature recovery. We'll take action to restore nature. But that actually is missing the point entirely. The first thing we need to do is stop cutting nature off at the knees. Stop cutting down ancient native trees to widen rural roads to let lorries carrying giant blades get through. Stop building massive construction tracks across peatlands. Stop digging up tens of thousands of cubic metres of peat that has taken tens of thousands of years to form and has been capturing carbon out of the atmosphere for all of that time, in order to pour in concrete foundations, which generate lots of carbon emissions. Stop turning pastures where insects and birds thrive into electricity substations and battery storage systems. And stop pretending that we can carry on taking just a bit more from nature because we've got plenty of it left, after all. We know that even our national parks are in a state of biodiversity meltdown. We just have to stop taking everything for ourselves and assess how we can leave just as much green and healthy land behind us that we've still got for our future generations to draw clean air, clean water, find space and tranquility, and get a grip on what it means to be human. And the very last thing I want to say, stop telling us that we're hypocrites who'd be very happy to see all of this happen if only it could be happening in someone else's backyard. This crisis is global. We want Wales's nature conserved for the sake of everyone's future, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think they can hear us in this building. Hands off Wales! 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 Nid yw Cymru a gwerth. 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 Could be Darren Miller. Can you come and say a few words?
You are in fine voice this afternoon, and I'm absolutely delighted to hear your voices ringing outside this place, because you know what? This goes beyond party politics, right? We're here because we want to save the future of rural Wales, and we are sick to death. We are sick to death of the rape of our countryside, and we are sick to death of sacrificing our landscapes to the industrialisation of our fields, our forests and our woodlands. We've got to put an end to this nonsense, and you have an opportunity to do so, right? Which is coming up in May. Yeah? In May. Now listen, we're here with a common shared purpose. We care about the Welsh countryside, and we are not prepared to have a Labour Party, frankly, and I know you don't want me to be too political, but I have to say this. The Labour Party is ruining our country. They are ruining rural Wales and pitting us, trying to pit us and divide us against our urban friends and family. That is not right. It has got to stop. And we must stand united together, regardless of your personal politics, to make sure that those Labour politicians in there that tell us that we have to have large industrial scale wind farms and large industrial scale solar farms in our countryside, and it's not necessary. It's not necessary. There are other ways to produce energy, even renewable energy, in a better way and in a more convenient way for our countryside that doesn't sacrifice the things that are precious to us. So I want to tell you this on behalf of the Welsh Conservatives: we stand with you, we stand for you, and we will fight every step of the way the unnecessary industrialisation of Wales. We will work with you, no matter who you are or where you are in this country, against this nonsense so that we can save our countryside. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Conservative leader. But actually, I'm so encouraged by the sea of signs today and the numbers of people here. You have my full support. You know what, I'm going to say something to encourage you all, but because sometimes people think, protesting, does it work? Is it all worth it? Yes, it is. I stood here for the first time on these steps in a protest in front of my own constituents just after I was elected 15 years ago. Thousands of my constituents came down from Montgomeryshire on dozens and dozens of buses, and their message was then to the Welsh Government: scrap their TAN8, their renewable energy policy. But also it was to protest against the National Grid's destructive plans to ruin swathes of my constituency, to go through the Vyrnwy Valley and to ruin our countryside, which we depend on so heavily for our tourism. And you know what? We won that battle. We saw them off. And that was thanks to strong campaigners, organised protests, and a massive protest over many years, which we succeeded in. We won that battle, but we knew then more battles would be ahead. And that's come back again. Now we've got Green Gen that have brought forward their destructive proposals, again to spoil swathes of our beautiful landscapes. So we're back again in Mid Wales, in Montgomeryshire, fighting hard again, and we stand with you as well from all parts of Wales. There is an election in May. Look carefully at what the parties are saying. Challenge your candidates when they come to your doors and vote accordingly. But this next Welsh Government, whoever it is, who forms that government after next May, they need to change their energy policies, because they can't, at the moment and for the last 20 years, their policies have been concentrated heavily on wind. We need a mixed basket of renewables, and we need to support community renewables as well. We're not NIMBYs here. I'm not a NIMBY. You're not NIMBYs. We want to support renewable energy in the right way. And also, we want to see cables undergrounded, not overgrounded. Now, the Welsh Government, if you ask them, they'll tell you that's our preferred preference. Preferred preference isn't good enough. That needs to be written into energy policy. And that's what this next Welsh Government needs to do. Have a mixed basket of renewables, support community energy projects, and also ensure that cables, electricity distribution cables are undergrounded, not on horrible 400 kV pylons that spoil our countryside. I stand with you today. Keep up the pressure, and also thank you also to Jenny and Claire and the many others who have organised this today. Thank you so much for your time. Please don't be disheartened. It works in the end. We've got proof of that in Montgomeryshire. So keep at it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay. As I've said, guitars. As I said many times, I'm not a politician and I don't want to be a politician. I hate politics and politicians. I've been trying for years to get myself a voice here at the Senedd, and to get a voice in with the council, in with the CADU, in with PEDU and everybody, and I just cannot get heard. And it's despite me having a master's degree in environmental pollution control engineering, they still don't want to hear me, and I fear I'm falling on willfully deaf ears trying to get a bit of sense across the place. Can you not hear me? How's that? That any better? Okie dokie. The only reason I'm standing here is to try and get a little bit of voice across into the Senedd and a little bit of sense out of these people. A very important point to open this talk with is that according to the National Grid, we already produce 3.4 gigawatts of energy from wind and solar in this country, while only consuming 1.7 gigawatts of energy in a day. We don't actually need any more power. So what on earth is all this power about? What on earth is it that they're trying to get to us? What on earth is it that they're trying to get? We've been told here that from this building that it's to make us into a green energy superpower. But I'm here to call BS on that. The numbers do not add up, guys. The Senedd has put political rhetoric before common sense and logic, and the result is catastrophically bad for Wales and for the rest of the planet. It's got absolutely nothing to do with climate change. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the environment at all. In my informed opinion, net zero is a huge scam designed to justify a massive renewable energy gold rush. It is just about the money. %40 of the power that a modern society uses is to power machines that cannot be turned off. Things like mains, water pumps, sewer pumps, underground infrastructure pumps, electric trains, hospitals, fridges, freezers, internet, traffic control, even the BBC. This is growing daily with AI data centres, and they cannot run on 100% renewables. It's not a feasible thing to do. And did you know that last year AI data centres consumed as much water as the entire global bottled water industry, and they produced as much carbon dioxide as New York City? Yet the Senedd still push on, and Westminster still push on with this net zero scam. In 2000, since the year 2000, we have spent almost £320 billion on net zero. That's 320,000 million pounds. That's 10 zeros to put it into context. 320 billion seconds is 608,000 years. It's an astronomical amount of money. If you're a school teacher on 40,000 a year, it'd take you 8 million years to earn that much money. It's astronomical figures. And can anybody here think of a better way to have spent that £320 billion? Maybe they could fix a few potholes, do you think? Or charge us less tax maybe, or improve the schools, the hospitals. You get the idea, I think. According to the government's own website, net zero policies have cost us 189,478 jobs. That's steel workers, oil workers, automotive workers, engineers, farmers. There's 87,367 acres of prime food-producing agricultural land has been lost to renewable projects, according to DEFRA. And which way have our electricity bills gone as a result of this? Have they gone up or have they gone down? No, yes, indeed. Is everybody here aware of the curtailment and constraint fees that are paid to wind farm developers? The cost of wind turbines in this country, of turning them off in 2025, was in excess of £1.4 billion. That's your tax money being paid to wind farm operators to turn the wind farms off because it was too windy or we'd already got enough electricity. But they also get paid for them, if they built a park, they get paid even if it is not connected to the grid. Anybody wants to look it up, look up the Hendy Wind Farm project. It's never turned. It's not connected to the grid, but they're getting paid for the energy it would have produced if it hadn't been connected, and are being paid by our taxpayers' money.
Fire on board. They said don't be too political, so I won't be. You must be joking. If you're a bit unclear about GLAD's position on this, it's very clear that's what it is. And this is what we want to do. Any pylons, we'll rip them down. Diolch am y gwahoddiad. I see the wall Cofiwch Tryweryn every day from my house, or as some people used to call it, Dryweryn, until it was a problem by Liverpool. They stole the water, the Croyw Loyw water, and they actually sent it out to industry. It wasn't for the drinking. That wasn't the story that we were given at the time. That was terrible and unwild. But actually, this is worse. It is far bigger. It is so big. It's. I fear that so many people do not understand that. So we need to take the message back, and hopefully, from this demonstration, it will be covered by the media. The Welsh Government behind us is not behind us. It's not even a Welsh Government. It's the Westminster Government in Wales, a room at the end of the Westminster corridor, and that corridor happens to be the M4 corridor. That's why we have a Governor-General, Secretary of State for Wales, to watch that we behave ourselves. Make no mistake, this is a Vichy government with quislings. I'm standing for Ceredigion Penfro, and if I gain enough support and elected, I will be your voice in that building, wherever you are from. GLAD is against pylons, full stop, regardless of the location, and that's my promise to you today. They want us to concentrate on tourism, and I live in the area just south of Aberystwyth. Tourism very important, and Aberaeron. But they want to industrialise the countryside. We're a nuisance in the countryside. They pander to the valleys where their votes cometh from. The Conservatives hated the miners, Labour hate the farmers. Make no mistake, this is part of a grand scheme for Wales, his version of the Highland clearance. It's well underway. And the sad thing is, like Tryweryn, they do it because they can. We must stop that, and stop it now. Who's the moron who thought of pylons to the whole length of Wales to bring energy from Wilva to Port Talbot for the electric furnace? It's an example of pylons without wind turbines, and so well explained by Jason. To then have 1,000 turbines, the height of the shard on top, is complete madness. They're on tub tablets in there. And I can be absolutely clear that even if the steel for the pylons came from our Port Talbot steelworks, GLAD would still be against the pylons. The countryside should be, yes, for pleasure and for leisure, but also thriving, alive, with farmers doing what they do best, which is growing food. And yes, of course, in a sustainable way. Birds should be singing, not being sliced. If all the industrial buildings, including farm buildings and solar panels, we would be producing 5 times the green energy. We also should talk about water. Dŵr Cymru are charging for using the water, taking the energy and putting it back in. Or using an Archimedes screw where it doesn't affect the water at all, or the river. But legally, mind, and legally, they're allowed to be dumping raw sewage into that river. Surely anyone with a little bit of common sense can see that this is wrong. It's mad. Then again, common sense is not common, and certainly not in the House of Commons. I'm also aware of the parties not here. How could they be, as they're for wind on land and pylons? Forget this nonsense they're talking about cables only on wood, and where we can, we'll put it underground, because we know the excuses that they will use. Technically we can't do it when the time comes. And also, they have double standards, where in particular Plaid Cymru have got Baroness Carmen Smith, who is working for Butte Energy. I find it's a disgrace. Please remember these things when it comes in May to the vote. This is your chance to speak, and speak loudly. They're not listening to us in there, so let's see if we can help them. 3 cynnig I Gymro neu Gymraes, 3 tries for a Welshman and Welshwoman. As loud as you can shout na in Gymraeg or no in English 3 times. After 3, 1, 2, 3, na, na, na. Diolch yn fawr i chi.
Prynhawn da pawb, croeso mawr i chi gyd y prynhawn yma. Good afternoon to you all and a very warm welcome. My name is Jane Dodds. I'm the leader of the Welsh Liberal Democrats. I'm the representative for Mid and West Wales. Firstly, thank you all for coming. It's really appreciated. It really is important that this is here today, and I'm not sure if you've got any Labour MSs coming, but it's really important that they hear your views. Secondly, and I will say this really clearly, I've not agreed with everything in terms of some of the issues, but I want to say this, the conversations and the discussions that I've had have been highly respectful, and I appreciate that, because that's not been my experience previously. Let me just be clear where the Welsh Liberal Democrats are. Firstly, this whole programme seems to me to be an extraction of the resources that are precious to not just Mid and West Wales, not just Wales, but the whole of the UK. We have seen that happen before in Wales, haven't we? We've seen our coal taken, we've seen our water taken, and now they want to take our landscape as well. I believe that the world is on fire and that we need every form of renewable energy possible. We need wind, onshore and offshore, we need tidal, we need water, we need solar. The important thing to me are the following. One, that money, resources and support should go to our communities in order to emphasise and move the shift to community energy. We want to see community energy. I would like to finish, if that's okay. I've found it very respectful so far, so I think most people would like to hear from me in terms of the rest of what I'd like to say. Thank you. So, very clearly, we want to see community energy, that is communities having the ability to say what they want and to develop their own energy that stays in their communities and that actually benefits you and the communities. I am against pylons. I am absolutely opposed to pylons. They should be undergrounded if they're needed. And I have fought, and I've got £1 million in to a fund to ensure that happens. I've met with many people who've done the undergrounding, who've done the cable ploughing, and I'm emphasising that if that's needed, then that's the way we should go. I support your... You've heard my view on turbines, and I'm really clear that there should be no turbines. Thank you. I am very clear that the world needs a mix of energy, and what we need to see here is the ability to engage with our community.
For coming. Just on a slightly more boring one, it's not boring, it's a very, very important note. I've been asked to mention Hendy Wind Farm. Who knows about Hendy Wind Farm? We all know that Hendy Wind Farm was built against planning advice and also without complying with planning conditions. One of the planning conditions was that if it wasn't working within 6 months, it would be taken down. What's happened to Hendy Wind Farm? Has it been taken down? That's because none of the local authorities involved in Wales have the resources to enforce conditions. They can't do it. We already know that if Paris has to enforce all the conditions for Nant Mittel, for Bryn Gilbern, for Aberedu, for Banky Cullen, for Gary Fowl, etc., 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 it won't be able to do it. So when you put your submissions in for whichever wind farm it is, you mention the conditions. You say, how are these conditions going to be enforced? When you see things like the habitat management plan, the way they manage habitats for the wildlife, the construction management plan, all these management plans, oh, we'll put them into conditions, we'll do it later, so that they don't have to be scrutinised at the planning stage. It's a major failing in the Welsh Government system, and it needs to be put right. There needs to be more money so that conditions can be enforced. The more that we can say this in our submissions, the more they might get the message. But just think, when you're writing about conditions, think of Hendy Wind Farm, and think what Paris County Council has failed miserably to enforce. And all they'll ever say is not expedient to do so. Well, make it expedient.
Thank you. Bernie, you want to say a few words?
Get up today and say anything. I'm Bernie Benton, or Lady Lily the Pink, you may remember me. I'm the Monster-Raven Looney candidate. I was standing last year. I'm not standing as a loony this year. I may well stand as an independent or a green. I haven't decided, and they haven't decided if they'll have me. I just wanted to say to all of you that don't listen to the words that the politicians are saying. look at the actions and the details. Look at the actions and the details, follow their money, and look at the rest of their agendas as well. I've noticed that Gwilad have been using this as a party political broadcast and putting all their flags up today. None of the others have done that. They've come and said where they stand. But it is about keeping our countryside for ourselves and ensuring that when we're talking green, we mean green. It is not about profit, greed and profit. This whole plan is a scam. Follow the bloody money. That's all I'd say. And look deeply into where all of these parties are coming from and what is behind the words they're saying to you today to get their vote. As I say, I don't know if I'm standing, I just want to thank everyone for doing this. I wasn't supposed to be up here today, but I'm so, like all of you, so bloody angry at what is happening and the bullshit and the lies and the evasion and everything else that's going on. Thank you so much to the Countryside Alliance, thank you so much to the organisers, to Rethink and everybody else who are fighting for our countryside. It's so important. And thank you. Keep partying out there. Let's get some music.
Ladies and gentlemen, what these people are proposing for much of Mid Wales is not green energy. It is a despicable overreach which will destroy in weeks what nature has created over millions of years. The Government of Wales Act was passed in 2011. It extended further legal powers for the Assembly. I recall our former First Minister, Cardiff Jones, stating that our old nation, our grand old nation, had come of age. Those people behind me in the Senedd have an obligation to protect the interests and the people of Wales. We are custodians of our lovely Wales, and we will not allow it to be destroyed for reasons of greed and blind ignorance of the facts. We demand trees, not turbines. Heat, not pylons. Countryside, not concrete. Our glorious Mid Wales will not be turned into a factory floor. We are here and we are not going away. If this today is only the start of this, then so be it.
Peach not pylons. 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 Peach not pylons.
Thank you.